Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
And you better talk to me nicely. Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Oh, can't forget all the days they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get advice, we know. Talk to me nicely. I know that they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get advice, we know. We on top, flipping the bird, they going sick. But I'ma make them eat every.
Hey, everybody. It is I, Hope Giselle, and I am back to you all today with another episode of I Have Thoughts, okay? And let me tell y'all something. I got thoughts, and the thoughts is thoughtin', okay? So if you have not been under a rock for the last week or so, don't y'all see my shoulders? Y'all see how my shirt just falling off the bone because she's been working out. You know, she's been eating healthy. You know, she doesn't eat the meat anymore. I know that I know that my ADHD just all the way over. But I just saw how my shirt just fell off of my small, dainty shoulders, right? My small back. Okay. I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, unless you have been under a rock this past week, you have seen that there are things going on with Iran and Palestine and all of these different things and, you know, X, Y, and Z. All of the things is happening. And there's a little nuance that I want to insert into the situation as the queen of nuance over here and in the world of all of the things. And before I jump into how I really feel about the whole Palestinian issue and like my thoughts about that, what I want to say to some of y'all out there in the media world is this. If you ain't got shit to say, you realize you ain't got to pretend like you know what the fuck you talking about in order to keep up with the Joneses, right? Like some of y'all do realize that you can just shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all, I think, collectively kind of sort of listening to Victoria Monet's album. And I just need y'all to stop asking me for shit, right? Like, because half of y'all don't know what y'all talking about. And it's crazy because I think that a lot of you all don't know what you're talking about, but you feel the pressure from social media to say something, right? Because everybody else is saying something. And so there are people who literally have a PhD in turtle walking, who are out here talking about foreign affairs. And it's like, you can barely walk these turtles, but you over here talking about foreign affairs. And it just does not make sense to me. And I think that what really bothers me with our social media and the way that we do social media these days is that you have so many folks that feel compelled to speak about everything, whether they are qualified, whether they know, whether they don't know, whether they do. You know, like there's always a motherfucker in the mix that just wants to say something so that they don't feel like they're left out, or so that people in their circles or their lives don't mistake them for unlearned individuals. What I have to say to that is this. I don't give a fuck about how my friends feel about me speaking up about one thing versus the other. People speak about things that are important to them. But what I do care about is when people speak about things that are only important to them because they think that it's the thing that everybody wants to hear or talk about because that's what everybody else is talking about. I don't give a shit if the world is talking about the lambs, okay? If the world is talking about how there's not going to be not a single lamb chop left on this motherfucker, okay? My fiance might be a little pressed about that because he's a lamb chop lover, but that's not going to make me change my messaging and go over here and talk about lamb chops when I don't give a fuck about the butcher, the lamb, or Mary, okay? And I think that we need to be mindful about the things that we stick our toes in when it comes down to the media cycle. These media cycles are built to create buzz and to create conversations and to do all of these different things. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I got some things that I'm going to say on this next part of the argument that I'm going to make. And so I don't want to like overthink it. But it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like a lot of you all like to jump in for the sake of looking like you're not caught somewhere with your head up your ass and you not paying attention to what's happening in the world. It is okay to be a person that don't know about what the fuck is going on in the world beyond you and what you got going on, and especially at this particular time. And I'm going to affirm that, and I'm going to stand on it 110%, because I know that there are going to be some people out here in this world that are going to tell you, oh no, Hope, that's ignorant. I don't see how you as a person of influence and activism and all these other things can tell people that it's okay to not know about what's going on, and you would want somebody to know if it was about the LGBT community. Absolutely not, because that's the reason why I got a job. Me, you not knowing some shit about the LGBT community is the reason why I have a job. So I don't want you to know everything about the LGBT community, because then I can teach you, right? That keeps me employed. And sometimes I think that some of you all fail to realize that the news is there to teach you, right? And so if you knew about everything, then guess what? We would have no need for the news. There would be no need for CNN or Fox or CBS or whatever the fuck the case whatever you're watching. And a lot of you all don't understand that, like, it's okay to not be informed and to get that shit from somewhere else, from people who are more passionate about it than you are. It is okay to not be the smartest person in the room about every single subject that pops up in conversation, because then you are showing that you are willing to be educated versus being a person that just has something that they have to say because everybody else in the room is saying something. That is where I want to start this conversation when it comes down to Palestine and Iran and all of these different things, because a lot of you all keep getting yourself wrapped up and strung up in a bunch and getting your panties in a twist about this because your friends don't know, or your mama don't care, or your uncle them is still over there by the bar and they not paying it. Like, y'all gotta really give people a fucking break. Not everybody is on this quest to be the most wise person in the world. Not everybody is in the world is looking to be, you know, this ridiculously learned person, or this person that wants to know about every single thing. Some of you all aren't even trying to be learned. Some of you all aren't even trying to share the information. Y'all are just like nosy ass neighbors and grumpy ass aunties that peep out the window when people pull up in the driveway. Like, you don't plan on using this information for anything. You just want to know it. You just want to have it in your back pocket to pull out on people every now and then. And sometimes you got to let that shit go. Let that back pocket information go. Because if you don't have a use for it, if you're not going to actually do anything with it, then allow the experts to be the experts and you just watch, click, scroll, and share. It is okay to be a girl that watches, clicks, scrolls, and shares. Sometimes I'm a bitch that watches, clicks, scrolls, and shares because I don't know everything. And it's okay that I don't know everything. So I want you to know, if you're a person that has felt lost about all of this bullshit, you don't have an opinion one way or the other, you just like, Hope, I know that it's supposed to be something going on between these people, but I have no idea what the fuck it is, and everybody's mad about something, then welcome to the club, sis, because so the fuck am I, right? To an extent, right? I know a little something, but to an extent, so the fuck am I. Bitch, you are me and I am you, and we are lost in this sauce together, girl. I am perfectly fine not knowing all the ins and outs about Palestine and Iran and what is going on over there. But here I go with my bullshit, okay? The second part of my argument is this. I want y'all to think about something. And I want y'all to think about something for real, for real. The government wants and is getting, right, everyone to have these long, drawn out, academic, very high stakes conversations about Iran and Palestine. And there are a lot of people that are going and taking the bait, and they're having these long, drawn out, academic, pandering conversations about Iran and Palestine. The problem with this is that on top of this, the US government is sending aid in the forms of millions, and I think some people have even said billions of dollars. But this is going back to tell y'all that I don't know much about nothing. So I'm getting my sources from third and fourth, sources, right? So bear with me on this information. But what I do want to say that I can be assured on, and what I do want to say that I can kind of sort of stick my toe in and be very, happy about is this. The government shows us time and time and time again as Black and brown people that they don't give a fuck about us. What you mean, Hope? Oh, here she go. Don't decenter the conversation at hand to make it about some black people or to make it about some gay shit, because that's not what it's about. We should be supporting them, but why? The government don't even support the Iranians and Palestinians that live over here. They trying to kick them motherfuckers out. So why the fuck are y'all doing y'all due diligence to support this entire conversation when all they're doing is trying to get you to pay attention to something else while they do some fuck shit? Because I guarantee you that once this whole conversation about Iran and Palestine goes awry, we're going to wake up and there's going to be some new law put into place that allows AI to come into our home, scan the entire body, and leave this bitch. And the whole time that we were arguing about Iran and Palestine, they were passing these fucking bills that we paid no attention to because we were so worried about foreign affairs and looking smart on the Instagram. Okay? But beyond that, what I want to say is this: as a black person in America, as a black woman in America, as a black woman of trans experience in America, as a black woman of trans experience who also happens to have Hispanic heritage in me in America, right? You see all the intersections that I cross? You see how many streets I got to cross to actually get you to the point where you can kind of sort of think you might know enough about me? And do you see how marginalized each and every one of those intersections I had to cross was? We are really taking time to look at our government and either judge them for not sending enough, not doing enough, not saying enough about something that is happening in another motherfucking country. But meanwhile, in Baltimore schools, they still don't have heating and cooling that works during the summer or the winter. Meanwhile, there are still homeless shelters that have yet to be built, and we're about to go into another winter. Meanwhile, in Chicago, we're still going to be seeing homeless people freeze to death or commit crimes just so that they can go to jail because the winters are fucking ridiculous and there's no space for them to go outside of that. Meanwhile, thank you so much, Kwame, Flint still ain't got clean water. And they're not the only fucking city in Michigan that doesn't have clean water, and nobody's talking about it. Meanwhile, black and brown women are still making videos every single day of them having to jump out of Ubers while they're moving because the driver is sketchy and is going the wrong fucking way. So when we talk about the idea of things that should be important, it should be at the forefront of conversation for American people and the American populace. I'm so sorry to say this, but I think that we have some fish to fry over here before we go handing out plates to a whole nother country that low-key y'all can't stand and don't fuck with anyway. Half of the people that are talking so much shit about what we should be and what we could be and what we are and all of the things that we're doing, y'all look at black people every single motherfucking day and say, what's the problem? But meanwhile, y'all are really over here trying to judge another country for doing the exact same thing that y'all do to black and brown people over here every single fucking day. Y'all can understand apartheid and all of that shit when it comes down to helping somebody else do the same shit that you doing, right? But when it comes down to seeing the humanity of the people that you're supposed to be serving, y'all looking at us like we boo-boo the fool and we're asking for too much. And I just want to ask some of y'all before we head on out to this commercial break, when does the support stop? Because right now, it's not conducive for the people that we need it to be from. The American government is not doing right by us. And we're supporting them trying to do right by somebody else when there are still black men being wrongfully killed by police and queer people are about to lose all of the little rights that we got. Make it make sense. But I'll holler at y'all after this break.
Talk to me nicely, Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Oh, can't forget all the days they overpriced me.
In a world filled with diversity, where radical faith and progressive believers come together, there's a place that's breaking all boundaries and embracing believers from all walks of life. Bullet and Flight Radio, where believers unite, boundaries break, and love triumphs. Step away from the chaos and noise of your daily life. Experience moments for yourself that are calm, serene, and full of peace. A necessary respite to foster growth within you, because self-care should be luxurious. Luxe Noir,
know that stay heated, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get it.
All right, everybody, I am back, okay? And if you have just caught this section of the episode, today we are talking about the social media need for everybody to feel like they've got it all together and that they know everything that's going on. And we're also talking a little bit about the idea of my thoughts around the nuance of Palestine, Iran, and what we should be focused on as the American people. Now, keep in touch and keep in mind that all of these thoughts are my own and they do not represent that of Pyro Media Network. Howsoever, I am just giving it to you all real. A lot of us do not need to always feel like we have to be able to comment on everything that is going on. And some of us should be a little bit more focused on the battles at hand. What I've seen is that there are a lot of people that have initiatives going on. There are people that I know that have initiatives to feed the homeless. There are folks that I see that have initiatives to feed, Black and brown children, moms. There are folks that have mental health initiatives. There are people that have initiatives to help incarcerated women who have been battered and beaten. And now every single page that I follow that has another initiative is somehow making it their business to post about Iran and Palestine. Now, it's not to say that we can't show support, but I do want to say this. I don't have an issue with the Palestinian or the Iranian people because, quite frankly, like, they ain't done nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? And this might be a very ignorant thought to have, but on a very minute and personal level, these folks have not done anything to me. I have a couple of Iranian friends. I have a couple of Arab friends, and they're all cool fucking people because I'm a cool ass bitch that chooses cool ass people to be friends with. What I will say when it comes down to this that I am upset about, and what I will say that I am gagging over, is the fact that there are so many people that do not understand. When it comes down to this, our government seems to be more concerned with everyone else's well-being before they are concerned with the well-being of their own constituents. It bothers me that every single fucking day there is somebody reporting a hate crime, whether it be a Black person, a brown person, a queer person, a woman, a man, who knows? Like, there are plenty of men that get raped every day and get laughed at. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't believe a man could be raped. There are so many different crimes that have yet to be solved over here. There's so many resources that could be being used to find fucking John Benet Ramsey after all of this motherfucking time. God damn it. And we're sending relief efforts over to fucking a whole different country. And it really irks me because I feel like I said before in the earlier part of this episode, is that every single day it seems like our government shows the most marginalized of us which part of they ass that we could kiss, how far we could dig deep up in there. And if we would like to, we might as well get the tweezers and get the plucking while we're there, because they would like a fresh, smooth asshole for the next person to come and kiss afterwards. And I for one, I'm a little over it. I'm a little over this conversation where every single time something happens for another country, here come America, the motherfucking home of the saber hoe. Like, ooh, look, we got you. But where do they be at when we be in turmoil? Huh? Where were all of these other countries at when we was out here about to get bombed by Putin or whoever's finna bomb us a couple of months back? Like, where the fuck was all these? Where were the support from them on socials? Because the French people, y'all remember when we had all our little French flags up? Where was their initiative? Y'all, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy to me because I feel like even though we're talking about a country that does have more resources, it costs people nothing to show support on social media. And what I find so funny about it is that America is so willing and ready to run. And by America, I do mean us, right? We as the people, we're so willing and ready to jump to the defenses of these other countries that say absolutely nothing when America has its shoulders on its ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many things that are happening in the world over here that I think if we had more support or outcry from other women, from other countries, right? That would be better. And I know that people are going to say things like, Hope, you're being so insensitive. At the end of the day, those women are being raped and pillaged and murdered and all this and that. So are our women. We are being raped and pillaged and murdered. They're just doing it in a way that our system says is legal. And I think that if we're going to focus our attention on anything as American citizens, as far as being able to help other people, we have to be able to correct and course correct the things that are happening to us. We cannot continue to just think that we're going to be able to send millions of dollars of aid to other people and that's going to fix their problem. Their problem is not fixed because the problem is not always money. Sometimes the problem is power. Sometimes the problem is patriarchy. Sometimes the problem is toxic femininity. Sometimes the problem is the root of all fucking evil, which happens to be $1, but it's $1 based off of somebody's ego tripping. It's $1 based off of somebody's lack of knowledge. It's $1 based off of somebody's need to be able to say that they have the most in the room. It's $1 based off of the idea that people refuse to let go of the money that they have because they want to look powerful to the people who already believe that they're powerful to begin with. Bitch, you're a dictator. There's no amount of money you're gonna give us that's gonna make us fear you any less because we understand that you're a dictator, right? And I think that we have to really just be honest about what is happening here. And far too often do I see it happening when we as the American people get scooped up and swooped up in other people's bullshit. And we get swooped up and scooped up and we argue for weeks on end only to find out that behind the fucking scenes, our rights, our livelihood, our family, our freedom is being contested by our own government while they were pretending to care about somebody else's well-being. And those are the things that I feel like at this point, shouldn't we know better? These are the things that they've been pulling on us for years on end. This is not new. This is not new information. This information did not just surface yesterday. This is information that if you see it time and time and time again after every major event that has taken place that has required America to come to the aid of another country, a couple of months passed and there was bills vetoed behind our backs. There were things passed behind our backs. There's a new law against X, Y, and Z that got passed behind our back. If you go back behind every single, especially the recent ones, but if you go back behind every single moment where we had our heads turned over here arguing about Africa or Palestine or Arabia or fucking India, bitch, as soon as we done and we turn our heads back this way and start minding our business again, we find out that our business is in shambles because our government was using that time to look like they were being helpful to somebody else while they were fucking us over in the process. And I'm just saying, at what point do we wise up and realize that we cannot continue to allow them to perpetuate a cycle on us that does not benefit us while trying to look empathetic to a bunch of other people who we simply cannot help until we understand how to rewire people, which you can't do. You cannot rewire a dictatorship that says women cannot walk around with their hijabs off. I am sorry. What you can do, however, is remove the stigma around that so that maybe their people can start to change the social order of what it means to be a woman in those countries. What we can't do is tell African people in Uganda that it's not okay to kill gay and trans people just for the fuck of it, right? You can't convince them that their idea and their way of life is different. But what you can do is galvanize the people up enough so that they learn how to fight for themselves in a way that all we have to do is drop off the resources so that they can maintain order in their own social class. We cannot communicate with them the way that they can communicate with their own people. But what we can't do is throw money at them without giving them the knowledge about how to fix the situation socially first. If we can't get people talking in those countries about how to fix these issues or about why they shouldn't be issues at all, then of course throwing millions of dollars at the problem isn't going to do anything except start World War III because they haven't been able to have a conversation about how to prevent it before we started shooting at each other in the first place. But that's just me. These are just my thoughts. These are just my opinions, which is why the show is called I Have Thoughts, because they're just mine. I'm just rambling. And some of you all are going to feel me. Some of you all are not. And maybe, hell, I might look at this video 2 months from now and not feel myself. But at the end of the day, what I do want to say, and these are my final thoughts here, are this. First and foremost, if you are going to be a person that is going to engage in the social media warfare, understand that you can engage in conversation that is current without leaving your own mission behind. Meaning that if you want to have a mission that specifically speaks towards homeless children and displaced mothers, you can still do that and have conversations about what's going on currently in the news, while also still continuing to promote the things that are happening here and that are going to benefit you and the folks that you are trying to help the most. It does not mean that you have to be the most learned on the issues. And sometimes if you don't have anything smart to say, if you don't know what you're talking about, it is best to say nothing at all. Secondly, what I want to say is do not be fooled by the things that the government are trying to get us to believe that they are. We know our government better than anybody else knows our government because we are impacted by our government every single day. And for those of you all who are going to feel like it is different this time because somehow, some way they've changed their minds and they've become this regalia of people who are so thoughtful and who are so nice and who are so kind to foreigners, then you've got to be mistaken and you've clearly lived in the wrong America your entire life, because the America that we live in has said that anybody that is different gets to go back to their country or in a pine motherfucking box. And that's if you don't go through Rikers Island and stay there for 20 years first. So let's be very honest about the way that we know our government system to be and hold them to task at every single point. It is okay to support what you support, to love what you love, and to value what you value. But it is never okay for you to allow them to continue to get away with atrocities while you're paying attention to what's going on over there, because what's going on over there is not going to affect you. The things that are happening here affect you first. The idea of what's happening over there is going to be something that we do not have any control over or power over, because we have yet to have a conversation about how to fix those very same things here first. So I'm not saying dismantle your argument. I'm not saying change your heart. I'm not saying don't pay Iran and Palestine any attention. And I'm not saying don't have an opinion. What I am simply saying is this: when you're giving your support, be mindful of how much support that they were given in a different country, millions of hundreds of thousands of miles away. And meanwhile, you live up the street from your Chamber of Commerce and can't even afford to get your name changed after you marry your motherfucking husband because the government has said they don't care enough. I bid you all adieu.
Talk to me nicely. I notice they heated, we get. Talk to me nicely. I notice they heated, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice, we know.